Dopamine is often misunderstood as the brain's pleasure chemical, a simple reward for a good meal or a funny video. Biologically, it functions as the chemical of anticipation. It is the neurochemical fuel for the craving and the chase. This molecule is wired to reward the effort required to reach a goal. It triggers the drive that keeps you moving toward a reward, rather than the satisfaction of the reward itself. Digital technology exploits this system by delivering the trigger without the substance. You hear a notification ping and your brain spikes in anticipation. But with no effort involved and no tangible reward, the level drops instantly with nothing to sustain it. Repeated exposure to these cheap spikes triggers a survival mechanism called tolerance. To protect itself from overstimulation, your brain lowers your resting baseline. Those same digital pings now produce smaller spikes, leaving you needing more noise just to feel normal. This leaves the modern brain running on fumes. Our receptors function like audio speakers blasted at maximum volume for too long. They are blown out, unable to register the subtle joys of reality. To recalibrate these receptors, we have to look at the first 90 minutes of the day. This window sets your dopamine baseline, the resting level of motivation that dictates your drive for the next 15 hours. Reaching for a phone immediately upon waking floods the brain with artificial spikes before you even leave the bed. By the time you start your day, your neurochemistry has already peaked and crashed, leaving you chasing that initial high until sunset. Recovery starts with a dopamine-naive morning. This means deliberately delaying all digital input for at least 30 minutes to allow your brain to stabilize on its own terms. During this window, focus on tasks that require physical effort before offering a reward. Taking a cold shower or making your bed with deliberate precision trains the brain that effort is the necessary precursor to feeling good. We can also use movement as a neurological lever to turn down environmental noise. The practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, provides the brain with a sustained low-stimulation input that signals the nervous system to downregulate stress. In a low-stimulation environment, overextended receptors begin to heal. The erratic vibration stops, the inflammation fades, and the cells return to a calm receptive state, where they can actually process dopamine properly again. By forcing early morning effort and reducing external noise, you create the biological environment necessary for your brain to regain its natural sensitivity. Physical sensitivity is only half the battle. Your brain also needs the raw materials to actually build the chemical. Dopamine cannot be manifested out of thin air. The brain manufactures dopamine from an amino acid called tyrosine. You find this building block in protein-dense foods like eggs, fish, lentils, and nuts. Without this physical inventory, your brain lacks the resources to generate motivation. Dietary choices like ultra-processed sugar create violent blood sugar crashes that the brain interprets as a biological threat. These crashes elevate cortisol, a stress hormone that actively suppresses your dopamine production. Beyond fuel, you must manage your psychological drains. Every half-finished project or ignored goal creates an open loop in your mind, acting as a constant, silent leak in your mental energy reserves. The progress principle shows that the brain rewards the act of completion. When you finish a tiny physical task, you seal that open loop and trigger a natural pulse of armed dopamine. By combining a tyrosine-rich diet with the habit of closing small loops, you stop relying on cheap digital spikes. You begin building a stable, earned reserve of motivation. Sustaining these levels requires active maintenance, which happens primarily during sleep. These hours are used to scrub and replenish your dopamine stores, resetting the entire system for the following day. Missing the 7-hour sleep threshold leaves the brain in a state of chemical desperation. To compensate for low reserves, a tired brain will instinctively hunt for the heaviest stimulation it can find, usually in the form of sugar and infinite scrolling. Perhaps the most vital requirement for a healthy brain is also the most counterintuitive: deliberate boredom. Sitting without distraction allows focused task nodes to power down, activating the default mode network, a wide, interconnected web illuminating as the mind wanders. This quiet state lets the dopamine system rebuild. Without constant incoming data, your chemical reserves return to full capacity. A modern brain is often simply exhausted, strained by a digital environment it was never built to process. By reintroducing effort, dietary fuel, and the discipline of occasional silence, you restore your biological capacity to feel genuinely alive.